Better than it being a hot, sunny day and you want to be outside. So let's hit this up with my screen share, if I can figure out the tech, and we'll jump right in. So hopefully you can see that quick. Just hit a quick thumbs up if you got my visual here touched up with AI, I believe. Makes me less wrinkly. Beach ready without the BS. Here we are. So in the chat, I want to hear your worst diet you've ever tried. That would be some important intel as we go forward here as well. So I'll take a quick gander back and forth with the chat. So feel free to use that throughout, and then we'll open it up to questions at the end. Starvation, yeah, that works in the short term, never long term. Carnivore, I can respect that one. That sounds good on paper. A lot of water loss, but tough to stick to. Keto along the same lines. All right, good stuff. Never eat sweets. That sounds awful. Cabbage soup, that's a blast from the past, Wendy. Wow, it works until it doesn't. A lot of bathroom trips I hear with that one as well. And the no diet. Okay, well, that one might have some substance. 2 shakes a day. Oh boy, yeah. Okay, well, good news is we're not going to lead you down any of those roads. We're going to show you a better path. Okay, so you have two options right now with summer approaching is starve yourself for a week, lose 5 pounds of water weight, regain it back by next weekend, or just throw your hands up in the air and accept that like summer setback, whatever you want to call it, where you go 2 months without doing the right things and you've got this big hole to dig yourself out of. So, option one, you can leave the call right now if that's your prerogative. But I want to present option two as an alternative, where you can quite literally have your cake and get lean too with the 5-2 system and be leaner in 6 weeks. But certainly more importantly, I think this was probably the most important piece, is still leaner at Christmas next year, 2035, a system that sticks forever. It's the only way it works. All right. Good stuff in the chat. Keep it coming. So by 9 p.m. or earlier, I always say I have the hour, but I talk fast. So it likely we'll be wrapping up before then. But why everything you've tried has failed, and it's not your fault. That's the caveat. Of course, the 5 habit framework. I would be remiss if I didn't go through a training like this and talk honestly about the basics, but nuanced in a way that you can stick to it over summer. What you can really do in 6 weeks, what the celebrities do to get in shape fast. I'm pretty well connected with the celebrity trainers, actually. A few of them were in my networking group. I stayed in Winnipeg, of all things, and some of them went down to LA and charged $600 an hour for the same workouts I do. Nonetheless, I'm not bitter. I have some intel from what they do. Okay. And then an invitation to do it right this summer for a change if you're not currently a member. But also, that challenge will be for members. Okay. So at the end, I'll show you how to work with me. No big infomercial deal, I'll tell you. I'll give you plenty of notice so you can X out the video if you're the DIY type. Totally cool. All good? Type a yes in the chat if everything's working here. Apparently Daisy's outside and the kids are freaking out. She's in the rain. Okay. So I hopefully you don't hear that, but it's distracting to me. Okay, we got lots of yeses. Excellent. Okay. So here's the question to ponder. What if your summer break is the reason you're always just a little away from your goal, whether that's 10, 20, 30 pounds? Most of the weight creep in adulthood happens in July and August or over Christmas holidays. So if we can just erase those two blips, we can make progress. Okay, the summer slide. That's what I'm calling it. Tonight, we buck that trend. Buck. That was not the F word. All right, summer is actually when I get my best result. This is often when I get super dialed in. I'm in a challenge with members right now, and every day I'm tracking and hitting my target. I missed it 2 days, so I'm not in the lead. But I'm hanging in there and I'm getting good results because I flipped that script. Summer has more sunshine. I'm in a better mood. Generally sleep better. I don't know what it is about daytime sun exposure. I only work 40-hour work weeks, not my usual 60. So I got time to kill, to train, to cook, to recover. More movement, certainly, because it's not 40 below. So the step goal is a lot easier to hit, but you're also swimming and doing yard work. You're just outside more. And I think there's a benefit to both sun and that movement together. And more motivation, because you can't hide under a hoodie. At least that's for me. So why does everyone lose ground in a season built for winning? Because that's the expectation. Oh, have barbecues. I'm gonna just stop working out from Monday to Friday. Okay. Bit flawed, but we'll work through that as we go. All right. But my biggest promise is I want to help you avoid my mistakes tonight. Experience is the greatest teacher, and I paid the full tuition. For a better part of a decade, I was the person, I guess, on your right or my left. I'm not going to try to. The bigger of the two guys here was doing all the shortcuts and all the fads and running his face off and never really getting any traction. And then the after here, actually, I hired a professional photographer the first time in my career. So that's why I look a little better. I realized that every fitness coach has professional photos, and I've never done it. So there we are. So that's why I'm looking better in the after. Before we go there, though, I almost died on the keto diet. And it's probably because I did it wrong. I was 22 working as a sports reporter, Fort Francis. I ate maybe a gram of fiber a day, a lot of meat, a lot of fat because that tasted good. And the scale was going down marginally. I think my libido was shot for some reason at 22. I had no interest in that kind of thing. So it was an impact from the diet. But more importantly, I realized I hadn't gone to the bathroom in a few days. TMI, if you have kids within earshot, we won't get into the gory details. Uh, People are still in the waiting room. Sorry, I missed a bunch of people. Okay. And nonetheless, I had to pretty much take myself to the ER because something was not right. And a young nurse had to go down there far before I would ever want someone going down there. And it was a pretty quick fix. It was like some beefed up Imodium and some other treatment. I was back on my feet, eating salads within a week or two. But that was my story. One of many failures along the way, which is why I say 10 years, same 20 pounds, kind of up and down, like so. Maybe this was keto, maybe this was I did dabble with even plant-based diets, even those are really fallen out of favor now, it seems. I don't hear much. Unfortunately, I think their marketing was bad because there's a lot of good to that plant-focused diet. But that didn't work, nor did carnivore, nor did whatever else was out there at the time. I think South Beach might have been one I did as well. Um, all short-term success. So in the end, what if boring beats sexy? It's a tough question because our brain loves novelty, and the latest TikTok saying apple cider vinegar is the secret, right? Sunning your sphincter is the secret. I saw that one, believe it or not. Made fun of it with the video. But the boring stuff works best. And I have the receipts. Over 2,000 clients over the last 10 years, no fad diets, lots of good, successful before and after photos. This was from our retreat where it was sadly 5 degrees in the middle of June. I think a few people on the call are from that. Yes, I see some familiar faces here. So, with that said, you always got to get that out. I want to go through the 3 lies. I need a perfect diet. I hear this a lot. I need a meal plan. No, you don't need a meal plan. You need 2 numbers. The A just, unfortunately, we don't have a good acronym here. The C and the P, so the A kind of bridges the gap, and we call it the cap. And there's a cap to your calorie and your protein, and it's a really good visual. And this is really the nuts and bolts of any successful fat loss plan, is ensuring your calories are where they need to be, and your protein is at a sufficient level. And most everything else nicely falls into place when you do that. Okay. I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but we're starting from scratch. I want to talk about the hidden driver to a lot of our problems in adulthood is visceral fat. Okay. So that's if you can be skinny, but you have this belly out of nowhere, right? It's largely the fat around your organs. And this is an active organ. It's pumping out inflammation around the clock, which obviously affects your testosterone levels, drives insulin resistance. So every bit of carbs you eat gets stored the wrong way. Like obviously your blood work, the number is your doctor is circling in red. And that combination of compromised hormones, male or female, high inflammation, really easy to gain fat in that environment. So we have to get to a place where this is near zero. Okay. The good news is it is often the first fat to go. Your body doesn't want to store a bunch of fat around its organs, preventing it from doing its job. So you can't really spot target with crunches or anything like that. But with that cap deficit, your body will burn visceral fat first. Okay. It's the most readily available. The stubborn stuff that you don't like looking at in the mirror, unfortunately, is a lot harder to get off. It's the last to go, but it's relatively harmless. Okay, so this is really the combination that does it. Getting that cap in check, lifting weights, because training your abs will help to some degree, and we want to preserve muscle and enough steps so that the calories can do their job. And of course, sleep, like reducing stress hormones. There is an element of stress involved in belly fat as well, but mostly it's driven by calorie excess. So sleep, stress management, doing some woo meditation once in a while, alongside that protein piece. Okay. Hopefully, I'm not moving too fast here. This makes sense so far. Type of one in the chat. Still got people in the waiting room that are stuck in there. I'm not sure what to do with that. So, sorry. All right. Good stuff. Beautiful. I got a one from Donna, one from Chantel, Jackie. Oh, great. Everyone's paying attention here. You're not on
What's the
17.
matter? Oh, sure.
Uh,
It's not that wet though.
if you're unmuted, please mute yourself. I'm not sure who that is, but we're getting some family chat. All right. So, a B minus diet. The first lie we've just broken is a B minus diet you follow consistently beats an A plus one that you quit by Thursday. Okay. So, what that looks like, I mean, this is not necessarily recommended, but this was a real client's Tuesday last week, and he's down almost 30 pounds. Eggs and toast, the old staple. I'm a big fan of eggs. Burger and fries. He was at a work lunch. He made do. And then the rest of his day was pretty lackluster because that took a chunk out of his cap. He had some Greek yogurt mid-afternoon and then chicken, and believe it or not, a nightcap beer with chicken. That seems, well, whatever. It floats your boat, right? You use your calories as you see fit, as long as that protein piece is where it needs to be. Okay. Makes sense. Okay. You don't need to cut carbs unless that's your thing. Lie number two, cardio and cutting carbs will get me beach ready. The faster and more aggressive I do these two things, the better off I'll be. In the short term, sure, but as I shared in today's Monday message, a lot of what you lose with that combination is your lean mass, is your bone mass. And you just shrink into a softer version of you with a compromised metabolism, and there's no chance you can continue to eat as little as you do to maintain it. That's what gets you stuck. So lifting, yes, you get smaller. Muscle is smaller organ, right? It's more dense, just weighs more. You get smaller and stronger, and your resting metabolism is elevated versus just crash dieting and cardioing your face off. They all have their place. I'm not saying one or the other is wrong. It's just you have to have that lifting foundation in order to get the results you want. And everyone has the same idea of the results they want. They want to be toned, strong, lean, athletic looking. You can't accomplish that without the lifting piece. Because the scale measures gravity, the mirror measures progress. And not to say we ignore the scale. At times we do. At other times it is another data point that's important, of course. If you're, 50 pounds away from your goal weight, some weight has to come off the scale naturally. But it's not the only data point. It's not the only thing to look at. Otherwise, if that's how you're measuring success and failure, you're going to do some dumb things to try to force it down each and every week. And that's not how it works. All right. Last lie is just, I don't have time for this. I see some heads nodding. You're agreeing with me, hopefully. Um, just pull out your screen time on your phone. No judgment. I imagine it's in the 4 hour range per day. If it's me, it's worse. So I have no excuses, and neither do you guys, to really make this a priority. Combine your screen time with exercise. There you go. Chantel can't hear me anymore. You guys still hear me? Okay. Chantel, you may have to drop off and rejoin. I'm glad that wasn't my issue, because that would suck. So the big five, for everyone that's on this call, you likely are familiar. It's about your cap control. You're already eating, right? So now we're just eating better. No extra time needed. Okay. Maybe a little extra time prepping, but not much. 3 liters of water. It's not going to take you more time other than the bathroom trips, and that's how you get your steps. Win-win as far as I'm concerned. 7 to 8 hours sleep. Now that's the hardest one I find for most adults with busy schedules. But if you take an hour out of that screen time, that extra episode doesn't have to happen. That's how you get it done. And everything else builds off of that foundation. When you don't sleep, you don't exercise as hard, you don't eat as well. It really has that cascade effect. And then we're just lifting weights 3 times a week for 30 minutes. Full body routines, 99% of you will get great results from that. Okay. And then that step goal, that's tricky as well, but it's not an hour of walking in one go. It's being inconvenient on how you move, right? Parking further away, taking the stairs, getting up from your desk, doing a call while you're walking around for 10 minutes. Okay. And just build up to that. No one's acing these 100% of the time. Okay. So I had to get the basics in. I promised that. Now the fun stuff. Well, JR, this is just an example of like the lift, steps, repeat, rest, right? Works an IT job for a food delivery company of all things, and he made it work. Okay. So you can too. So willpower and motivation, all these things are fleeting. You just need fewer rules and a simple system. Okay. So hopefully that's summarized. The main takeaway from that first section is just simplify it down to what really matters. Those big five, your cap. Boom. Okay. So as promised, to get you on the call, what the celebrities are doing, what I don't recommend you try to follow suit, but nonetheless, GLP-1s, the Ozempics of the world, tirzepatides, Zepbound, I think is the brand name. And the most recent one, Retta, which isn't even FDA approved and people are injecting off the internet. But I digress. They are the appetite off switch and they work. Food noise drops, makes it a lot easier to stick to a calorie goal. The cons, obviously, it's fairly expensive in the US. You're taking out a second mortgage to pay for them. Here in Canada, a little more reasonable, but you have to think this is a lifetime treatment for it to work. It's not one, you don't go on these temporarily and expect to not change anything about your routine and habits and just come off and the weight's off forever. It obviously doesn't work that way. The majority of people gain back the weight within a year. Within 18 months, they're actually heavier than they started in follow-ups. So whether that's designed by the pharmaceutical company to get you to stay on these for the lifetime customers, that's how big pharma tends to work. You know, it's treatment, not prevention. But they can be a tool. I'm pretty bullish on these being part of the equation for some people. Okay. Part two is the hormones, so TRT or HRT, depending on your gender. One caveat, especially for the guys, like hold off on TRT if you've got 30 pounds to lose. It's just going to create more of a mess hormonally because your estrogen levels will spike. Now you're crying at commercials. You're not getting any leaner. So we need to get lean first and then explore if this makes sense. Like obviously get blood work. I'm not the expert here. If medical professionals suggest it's probably helpful for you, then by all means. But I also see a lot of people using the hormones as a reason to not do the right things, not even try to do the right things. When really it's maybe just slightly low normal on thyroid hormones or whatever. A quick fix is just eating better. Okay. Makes sense? Yeah, shift work, Jason. Sleep is going to be pretty tough. I haven't found a solution for that yet. Okay. So the Trinity stack is what it's known as, and it's got a fairly sizable price tag. So the GLP-1s, peptides that increase growth hormone, which, you know, can actually wreck your insulin sensitivity if you take it at the wrong times, take it with too much carbs, but it does support like visceral fat loss on its own. And then TRT or HRT to optimize your hormones. So all that said, a lot of people on the internet are starting here. And if they just got the foundation in place, they'd save themselves all the money and the side effects and the trial and error and the medical visits and so on. But we have partnered with someone locally that I don't know if they go down the growth hormone route, but they would help you with HRT and GLP use. And we can set you up with a free consultation through our partnership if you so choose. What's really behind the story of the celebrity transformations, according to my friend Bren, is the chef, the trainer, and someone checking in daily. Human nature, accountability. When they're on the road, hey, get your workout done. Timberlake, that's one of his clients. And so they're still doing the big five. They just pay for the accountability and they pay for the drugs temporarily. So essentially, that's the takeaway. The drugs are the tools. The big five is the operating system beneath it all. So the good news is you don't need the drugs, right? You just need to get your operating system upgraded. Making sense? Any questions, feel free to drop them in. We're almost done the presentation part tonight. Hopefully, I'm not putting you all to sleep. So, the hierarchy of health. I just designed this the other day. Lose the excess body fat first from a health perspective. You get that to a healthy range. It's not as lean as maybe the magazines or the internet would have you believe. If you're under 20% for men, under 30% for a woman, yes, you have some stubborn belly fat, but if your blood work's copacetic at that point, you're probably really healthy and it's sustainable and you can eat more than someone that's trying to maintain 10% body fat. So make that target yours and yours alone. I'm just saying it might not be as lean as you think or want to, right? So that's good news. To fix your sleep, please, by all means, I know it's hard. There are treatments for that, um, cognitive behavioral therapy, like actually talking to an expert. There's some merit to that, but I think the foundation is turn off the screens, don't eat a heavy meal too close to bedtime, have a hot shower, have some bedroom gymnastics if that's your thing, and wind down properly. Don't have your face looking at Trump and yelling and getting mad in the hours before bed. Teresa talks about intermittent fasting, cortisol resets. Yeah, a whole lot of noise that's not overly kind of majoring in the minors, frankly. And fasting for women in particular, I don't like to extend it beyond 12 hours, even if someone really wants to do it. Because, like you said, the hormonal scenario, cortisol can kind of spike. And then you need your cortisol reset diet to manage the intermittent fasting. So, neither of those. Next, optimize hormones. So, get blood work done. If you're older, maybe there is a real opportunity to optimize. It's not necessarily that it's just like you're magically gaining fat because your hormones are optimized, but it usually has a cascade effect on your behaviors. If you're having hot flashes and not sleeping through the night, or you have sleep apnea, you wake up hungry, starved, you move less because you're sleepy. That's more of the effect of this. So definitely, if those things are happening to you, have that consultation. And then only then and then after is the advanced stuff, the peptides, which are all gray zone right now. The GLPs are more proven, and then supplements to fill the gaps, whether you have a vitamin D deficiency or something, you at least can top up in that regard. Okay. So most people start here and work their way down. Start here, work your way up. Okay. In 6 weeks, what's realistic? I tend to temper expectations during tough times of the year, summer being one of them. But you should be visibly leaner. 1 to 2 belt notches is realistic. And momentum, more importantly, that starts to feel, automatic. Oh, I'm getting my walks in just second nature. I'm having the same breakfast because I like it. It's helping me set my targets, whatever. You won't get onto a magazine cover, nor will you, like some people have really unrealistic expectations of losing 20 pounds of pure fat in 6 weeks. Not going to happen. Okay. You can probably lose 20 pounds of scale weight, but you're not going to like the composition of that. All right. So my road to 200, I am documenting this. I will be in the challenge because I like this time of year. Currently, I'm 28.8, so I rounded up. It's at roughly 17% body fat. I don't really trust my smart scale. I would say I'm a couple percentage points below that. But 200 pounds would put me, 12, 13, 14, which is as low as I ever want to go. It's pure misery for me to get to 10%, try to sustain that. And then I'm short with my kids and clients, and everything kind of goes to crap. So I know my sweet spot. It might be 200 pounds, might be a little bit higher, a little bit lower, but that's what I'm striving for. So that's what these next 6 weeks are about: is doing it right alongside you and documenting it. Okay. So the 5-2 system I promised off the top of the call. This is going to look a little complicated, and I'm going to caveat this. There's 3 different options for you, but this is how people that want fast results do it over this time of year. Okay, so the 3 days, Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you're simply in a cap deficit that, your calories are 500 under where they need to be, and your protein's at 1 gram per pound of body weight, give or take. The PSMF. So what is that? It's a protein sparing modified fast. Okay. So you're not intermittent fasting. You're just having largely protein-rich meals. I find this is the best of both worlds. If you're the fasting type, keeps cortisol at bay, it preserves muscle, but it's brutal, right? Think chicken and broccoli. Okay. So that bookends your weekend. I would suggest that's an advanced strategy that most on this call shouldn't be dabbling in right off the top, but it's in bodybuilding circles, it's quite popular because bodybuilders want to get aggressive with their fat loss, but not lose muscle in the process. They don't want to fast for 24 hours, so that gets around that. And then this is where the fun comes in, is maintenance calories on your Friday, Saturday, or Saturday, Sunday, and you going out to a barbecue, you just plan for it. It's not a complete free for all, but with all that, you're gonna still lose that pound per week for sure, if not more. Yeah. So screenshot that. I mean, I wouldn't, jump right into this unless you're kind of going along pretty well or you're in a plateau. Plan B is what I do, which is simply just a slight calorie cycling approach where I'm a bit higher on training days in my carbs and a bit lower on days I don't train. Okay. So it's basically a 200 calorie difference. And here it is on paper with what I built yesterday. Subject to change. My day is never exactly the same, but essentially the carbs are 50 grams less on the non-training day. Okay. So I just have a banana pre-workout, have a bit more oats, and a mega bar, like an ice cream bar versus a grenade protein bar. Everything else is pretty much standard. All right. Makes sense? So it just gives me a bit more of a deficit over the course of a week. Lastly, is the most simple approach. One daily target, your cap. You hit it 7 days a week as best you can, or at least six with the maintenance day. Do everything in terms of what the big five we talked about. And that's probably the best way to go about this. But in summer, if you're looking for more flexibility, then you look at some of those other approaches. Okay. So type in the chat A, B, or C, which one you're open to exploring. There's some serious lightning out there right now. And go from there. I can certainly help dive into it a bit. Continue with C. I like that. Yeah, so I think I've sold you on what I think is the best approach, to be honest with you. And it simplifies your life. Because I talked about right off the top, you need less rules, not more. I need it. Go for it. You can unmute or just drop in the chat, whatever you prefer for the question.
Hi. I have a question about so the walking is great. I can feel like it's not stressful, it's achievable, it's spread it out through the day. Sometimes I want to do a long walk, whatever. But I also just want to know about, like, I really enjoy Zumba, for example, or sometimes I've done other like aerobics classes, or sometimes I've done that HIIT. But then there's like so much out there in the social media, like HIIT is too stressful for you. It causes too much cortisol. So, but at the same time, it's like, I think about last year when I traveled with my kids, we were in Germany and my 14-year-old is like going up the mountain, like no problem. And there I am huffing and puffing. So it's like, I'm just wondering about, I guess, is it like the anaerobic, like training your heart and training your body to be able to do different inclines, etc., or just doing more challenging heart workout, cardio workouts. So I just wanted to know what you thought about that.
Yeah, it's a nuanced question. It's hard to give you a straight answer, but
Right, of course.
like zone two cardio is the most beneficial for conditioning. So that's where
Right.
you're at a steady pace. You can hold like a brief conversation. You can't have keep talking throughout it like a casual walk. So you might want to try to introduce some of that into your step target now because it's not really going to cost you too much in terms of recovery. So that's an incline walk or maybe using a weighted vest or on a
Right.
spin bike. So zone two is kind of what's going to help with the huffing and puffing. But anaerobic work is as you get a ton of that from strength training is if you're really pushing the weight heavy and getting close to failure.
Yes. Right.
Yeah. So you largely, hit would be redundant with that. You may want to dabble with hit as like a one-off, but yeah, I think that's fair to be very careful with that, especially in a deficit. It's going to ramp up
Right.
hunger and kind of compromise your recovery a bit. I
So
think,
I wouldn't
yeah,
increase my calorie intake on those days if I did like a hit,
yeah,
which I mean, hit can be like 10 minutes to like when people do it like half an hour,
sure.
right?
Yeah, there's different types. So 10 minutes is probably fine. It's like a 60-minute like Orange Theory class 5 days a week like that. That's
Right.
killing
No,
people.
no.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, as like a variety for your cardio, like 10 minutes, like where you sprint on a recumbent bike as hard as you can for 20 seconds, reset for 40. If you find you recover okay from that, like once a week is totally cool. And that's going to benefit your like top end conditioning, your VO2 max a little
Right.
bit,
Okay.
right? Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Just a delicate balance for sure. Because again, 10 minutes is 10 minutes, but you might find it ramps up appetite and then that defeats the purpose anyway, because now you're going over your cap, which is still our priority,
Right.
right?
Right.
Good
Okay.
question.
Thank you.
Wendy C is not different from what you're doing now. That's the point. Yeah. Okay. Estrogen does not affect the program at all, Teresa, if it's being managed. Okay. If I do hit on 3 different machines, is that good? Yeah, that's fine. That's one of those questions that doesn't really require an answer because hit is hit, no matter what machine you're doing it for, as long as you kind of get what you're going for there. Trying to read it. Okay. Yeah, no, I would mix it up if you find that's more enjoyable for you. Or do one machine. Okay, so knowing the plan and living it are two different things, right? You already knew half of what I shared tonight, probably. Information is not the bottleneck in a world of AI and Instagram experts. You guys all have an idea of it, almost to a point where it's too much information, and you hear one thing and hear something that completely contradicts it. It's hard to know what to believe. So that's why I said go back to taking away the rules, simplifying it down to cap. But again, at the end of the day, there are 2 routes to go, and most of you have already taken the road with me, which is awesome. But road one is where everything I'm taught tonight is yours to keep. So screenshot it. Hopefully, you're not the average person who's fired up for 9 days, drifts by week 2 or week 3, and then again, the same story repeats itself next summer. That's what we need to avoid, right? You know, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. So, what has to be different? For me personally, I find it's having someone outside eyes keeping me honest. I know exactly what to do. I still get coaches for that reason. Because the gap between knowing and closing and knowing and doing closes. Okay. So if you're not interested in hearing anything about the program, by all means, drop out now. There's your 2-second warning. We've got a new challenge cooked up here. But this is what the road looks like when we take it together. Okay, I'm gonna have to answer a question here. That's a fair point, B. If a person loses weight, should they start wearing strapped on sandbag type weights? There's probably a weighted vest or backpack that would be easier than that. But that's fair, especially if we want to have the same calorie output from that walk. This is a topic for another session, but we do adapt quickly to cardio, whether we're losing weight or not. What we burn from a 5 mile run the first time we do it, vastly different than what we burn from doing that same run 2 months down the road, unfortunately. It's called the constrained energy model. But that's a good way to counteract the weight loss, drop, and burn. So good on you. Wear that backpack. So custom cap targets, those obviously adjust as we go forward. The Big Five system installed for you, the workout plan, home or gym, whatever you got, we design a custom program within our app for that. And then we have a formal weekly check-in, like a report card that you get each Monday. I kind of look at that, assess, reflect, adjust your plan accordingly. And then now, if you so choose, we can adapt it to a summer approach. And then everyone in the chat, the kick-ass community of people that are already in the program, I think that's awesome value add. So clients, if you don't mind sharing in the chat, like what's kind of been, if you're in the challenge right now, like what's worked well, what's made it work for you? I think that's it's one thing to hear from me. It's another to hear from actual people that are experiencing it in real time. So I haven't paid you to say anything, but please do like share what is making the whole system kind of different for you and how that challenge in particular is helping you. Accountability, yeah. Oh, and by the way, the bonus, sorry. There's a 30-day magic meal plan, so I'll send you a report to fill out, like everything you've got coming up in the next 30 days. I'm going to the lake for 3 days, and we're going to build out a full meal plan for you. And then again, if you want to go down the blood work and hormonal consult route, I'll pay for your initial consultation. So yeah, daily tracking, yeah, pre-planning, what I'm going to eat is key, accountability. Okay, so yeah, the accountability, I mean, I know what I'm here for. So adding that all up, this is the real value of it. Okay, the meal plan, the blood work, good, 2,000 plus bucks, you get that. My fixed cost though to onboard a client is upwards of 900 bucks nowadays, which stings a bit, naturally. Um, we have to pay Meta now. We have to have my team, who is the best in the business. I pay them per hour. So I lose money off the top with this, but it's $449 to join the 6 week challenge. If you're a member, it is free. And that is the link to get in on that in the chat. Essentially, what I'm doing here is writing you a check as a way to prove this program is going to rock your socks off if you're not a member, okay? Because I know some of you will stick around after that 6 weeks. That's how I make the loss back later. Because most of our members stay 6, 12 months, get results that last, and then go on with a new identity with results that stick. Walking billboards, right? Not having to be repeat business. That's how we survive in fitness in a world of AI and weight loss drugs. Okay. So I see Chris has already signed up before I even made the pitch. So good for you. Way to be a challenge maker. Abrazia. Is that challenge a different one than we are doing now? Yeah, this one will start after the current one, once we've drawn the winner for the Vegas trip. Okay. So that'll be early to mid next week once that one wraps up. Then there's a little break in between, and then this one takes over. I found not having a challenge over summer last year was not a good idea, and it was a much better idea this year. Wendy, pretty simple. If you've never done a points challenge before, I think you have. You'll sign up through the program. We'll have a registration page. So don't do this. If you're already a member, do not click that link. I don't need you to pay me twice. Okay. And yeah, no, Suzanne, this will be the actual registration will be after. This is for new members. Okay. And I mentioned the primer phase. So that's what new members will do until this challenge actually starts. It's actually going to be a little bit later than next Monday, looking at how the previous challenge starts. Yeah, we got to get you in Monday because they're fun. So you'll watch in the Monday message. There will be an email with an application form. Sorry, I'm typing to someone. And you just fill that out, and then we add you to the challenge. It's like a leaderboard in the app. Okay, so watch for that. All right, we got one more sign up here. Okay, so if you're interested in joining the community, getting in on this, the meal plan is done tonight because it's going to take me a couple hours each. So the action takers will get that, maybe 3, 4, 5 people. And then everything else I discussed is through Monday. Susan says challenges are great and motivational. Hell yeah. Okay, let's move on to Q&A, which has already kind of happened. But I want to make sure we don't have you guys leaving this call more confused than you came in. So feel free to use the chat or unmute yourself. What is coming up for you? Yeah, we got to get you guys doing challenges. Sorry, someone asked privately for the link again. So I'm sharing that link again. Sorry, it keeps getting lost in the chat. Okay. Yes, Anita. Do it while you're on holidays. Easy peasy. Okay. So what's your question, Wendy? Summer appy party? You want to unmute? You mean the approach for handling that? No, you're okay. I can answer that somewhat. Yeah, the teachers in there. I'm bragging about my 40-hour work weeks and your 0-hour work weeks are really making me feel bad right now. So summer happy parties and barbecues. Yeah, so I'll go back to the aforementioned slide here, okay? That one's not the best, but we'll go with it. So basically, if you've got this barbecue on Saturday, you would have a maintenance day, okay? So you're just looking at your current calorie target, your cap, and increasing that by 500 for that day, and then just planning around the barbecue. If it's a one-off once a week, not a big deal. Now, if you've got 3 straight days of it, you're probably going to have to introduce one of these strategies in order to make progress that week. Cutting your calories down a little bit further on a day after or before to balance out. That make sense?
So basically, it's you're either upping the calories or dropping the calories, but keeping your protein the same then?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Protein stays pretty much constant. You can get away with a little bit less on a maintenance day because carbs are like protein sparing. But we don't want to encourage dropping that too low because then you're going to probably overeat because the protein really helps kind of put a governor on your appetite, right? So yeah, I would say if you've got a barbecue in mind, just give yourself a good calorie allowance going into it. Don't go into it starving, but like say have a protein shake an hour out and then you've got 800 calories left for the day. And, unless you're going really crazy, a barbecue in a hot dog and a burger can fit within that allowance that you've given for it. Okay. Make
Okay.
sense?
Thank you.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. Anyone else? Any burning questions? I'm going to answer this private message.
Mitch, can you hear me?
I can. Diane, what's going on?
I've been waving.
Oh, I can't even see anyone's video right now. I've got too many tabs.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, so just you know this. I mean, over a week, I might do 1,200 calories, then 1,500 the next day, 1,700, then 1,300 the following day. I'm keeping my protein always around 130, 140. Is there any problem with the calories going up and down by a couple of hundred? Because I really
No, that's
find
the
it
nice
hard to
thing.
be exactly the same every day.
Yeah, no one's right down to the letter on their macros. The nice thing is has a 10% buffer either direction, right? To still get your
Yeah,
gold bar. That's by design because it's like a speed limit. You go a little over, a little under, you're
yeah.
okay. Too much over, obviously, you're getting a photo radar ticket, like my video today. No, I didn't get
Just
one.
just one other thing that I noticed that there's some weight loss after a very long time everywhere except the belly, and I can't figure out how you can like because it affects all your clothes. Anything that's got a waistband on it.
Yeah, I mean, age has a role to play in that, but you
Yeah,
honestly look at it every day and you may actually be losing from there in equal amounts. It's just impossible to tell because it's incremental inches. Unless you were doing like a body scan or accurate tape measure, you don't really know. And none of us ever see the change in our midsection as it's happening. It's like months later, you send me pictures. I'm like, okay, here, yeah, look at this. And
yeah.
then you match up and, okay, wow, there's more progress than I realized.
Okay,
So
okay.
yeah, don't beat yourself up. Try not to dissect it or look at it too often. Like just trust the process. But yeah, there is
Don't
some
look at the
element to that.
scales and don't look at the waist. Okay, I got it.
Yes, everything. Yeah, there is certainly things redistribute through a certain age, and that area becomes a trouble spot for women out of nowhere, and that
Yeah.
is a reality. But you can still lose it. It's just slower and more painful.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Sandy's a good tip about putting the burger in lettuce. Oh boy, I don't know. I like my buns, so I'll account for the calories of a bun. I'll sacrifice something else, but I'm with you there. As long as you can make that work, awesome. Okay, I do that too. Yeah. Anyone else have questions? If you have not joined and you're not a member, what the heck are you waiting for? I'm gifting you basically $500 value for a 6-week challenge. Everyone that's already paying and is in sees the value and is sharing in the chat. There we go. Got 2 more signups since I last looked at my phone. So we got a good crew going. So with that said, any final questions? We're wrapping up with a little bit of time to spare, which is,
Yeah, I have one more.
oh, go for it. Yeah, yeah.
Sorry. When in the very beginning you said you had the screen up, it said boring beats sexy. I didn't quite get that.
Okay.
It's not because I'm old. I just didn't get it. So,
Yes. Well, sexy is the novelty stuff. You go on Instagram and there's some
oh,
new supplement
okay.
or
Got it.
the snake
I got it.
diet where you drink nothing but I don't know. There's always some new thing, whereas boring works best. And
Yeah.
until further notice, calories, protein, strength training, all that stuff makes 90% of your results,
Okay.
right?
Thank you.
No worries. Susan has a question. Do we not need to worry? Yeah, Sandy answered your question. I rarely look at my carb and fat numbers. As long as CAP is in check, you will lose fat at the right rate. Some people just have more of a personal preference for a bit more fat or more carbs, depending on the food they like to eat. But it kind of forces them into the right spot if you hit your calories. Because it's pretty hard to hit your calories and protein and have carbs and fats way higher than they need to be. So it pretty much by default fixes that issue. I like carbs around training because I find I get better performance boost from that. But I wouldn't, I try not to like major in the minors for you guys. Okay. No worries. Okay.
Quick question. So
Yeah.
this challenge that you're going to send the thing out to members on Monday, the application. So the point of the challenge is you're competing. I don't like, what am I
Yeah,
trying?
it's you versus you at the end of the day. It's just we're gamifying the whole experience. So you get points for doing everything you should be doing in terms of nutrition goal hit, 5 points. Workout finished, 2 points. Walk target hit, 2 points. So it just gamifies the grind, makes it fun. We usually have either a team-based challenge or a leaderboard winner take all. And the team is more of like combined points with a couple, fellow clients, and you're in a support group together. And then the leaderboard has like a prize. We haven't done
Okay.
both simultaneously all the time, but I think we'll do next one. We'll probably have either or, and you choose. And yeah, there's prizes, there's steps along the way. It's like, I don't know if I can share it with you, but maybe I can. See if I can. No, I can't right now. It just has like a visual of you like climbing a mountain, and then there's different like base camps you get to. So it just makes it fun, right? That's the idea. Okay. That helps. Uh, yeah, tracking macros to that degree definitely adds some gray hairs. All right. Where is the 30-day menu code? I don't know what that is. You get that once you sign up. That's not a free thing. That's when you join. Okay. Yeah, Teresa, don't think your way out of it. We've got a few days to get this going. So invest in yourself pays off 10x. Okay. Diane, yes. We will be doing that with the new challenge for members as well. So the meal plan. All right. Good. Hopefully that answers all the questions. Of course, I'll get a replay out to everyone that joined live or registered. So with that said, we can wrap it up. Cool. All righty. Going once, twice. Excellent. Hopefully this is helpful. Not too confusing for you. We'll talk very soon. Cheers.